Channel 5 Network. This is Titans Talk.
Hey there, Titans Talk on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Monday night on News Channel 5 Plus after another victorious Sunday for the Tennessee Titans. 24-20 over the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday at Nissan Stadium. And they do it again in dramatic fashion. Marcus Mariota leading the Titans down the field, 12 plays, 73 yards in the final minutes. DeMarco Murray catching a pass from Mariota and finding his way into the end zone with just 36 seconds to go for what proved to be the game winner. Also credit the defense, too. Stopped the Bengals 6 of 7 drives in the second half without points. And the Titans figure out a way to win their 4th straight game. That's the first time that's happened since 2009. And they're now 6-3 on the season for the first time since 2008. Tied for first place in the AFC South with the Jaguars, who also won a wildly entertaining game yesterday over the Chargers. So here we are 9 weeks into the season. The Titans are tied for first place in the AFC South with a very quick turnaround this week before heading to Pittsburgh Thursday night. 72 hours from now, they'll be back on the field against the Steelers in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field. It is a very quick turnaround for this Titans team, but this is the position you want to be in. You cannot ask for anything more than being in first place through 9 games of the season. So the Titans sit there at 6-3 after a big win yesterday over Cincinnati. Some news today, just because it is so important with the quick turnaround, the injuries. We saw Marcus Mariota go down late in that game. It was a left shoulder injury at the time. They did all the tests on it. It just simply is sore today. He also tweaked his ankle yesterday, but they were not worried about that. He was expected to go through every single rep with the team tonight during their walkthrough and then be ready to go full go tomorrow when they practice for really the only time this week. Walkthrough tonight, full practice tomorrow, then another walkthrough or mini practice Wednesday morning before they get on a flight and head to Pittsburgh. So it is a very quick turnaround from one game on Sunday to another game Thursday night in the National Football League. Delaney Walker, we saw him take that huge shot from George Iloka in the end zone on that final drive. He was able to come back in for the final play that led to the touchdown, but you always worry about that. It apparently was a wrist injury for Walker, but he too is expected to be able to practice tomorrow and should be ready to go on Thursday night. And then another good injury note for the Titans, Quentin Spain, the left guard who has missed the last couple of weeks because of a leg injury. He's expected to return to practice tomorrow. So if all goes well, he should be back in the lineup on Thursday night against Pittsburgh and that vaunted Steelers defense. Although this unit maybe not as good as some of the historic Pittsburgh defenses, it is still good and a stout test in the National Football League. There'll be a homecoming for Mike Mularkey, Dick LeBeau, those guys, all of sorts. They've all spent time there during their careers at some point, but they're going in with their mindset on a win on Thursday night. And think about this. This is a game now that has significant meaning for both of these teams. If the season ended today, the Steelers would have the 2nd seed in the AFC playoffs, just behind the Patriots. The Titans would be in that division winner spot in the 3-4 spot. You go up there and win on Thursday night if you're the Titans, and now all of a sudden you flip that, and you move into the 2nd spot in line to pick up a bye to start the playoffs. So think about that for a Titans team that hasn't been to the playoffs since 2008. They could put themselves in that position through 10 games of the season with a win Thursday night in Pittsburgh. It'll be a big test, no question about it, but it is also a huge opportunity for this team. Going to have to play better than they did yesterday. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. What we saw yesterday was a team that had a good game plan. They come out right from the start, score on the opening drive for the 4th straight week, but first time since the opening week that they were able to get a touchdown on the opening drive. The offense put up points in the first half. They had 17 points before halftime. They left another one out there as Rashard Matthews dropped what would have been a surefire touchdown. They also later missed a field goal there, so left at least 7 points on the table in the first half. You had Corey Davis fumble through the end zone in the fourth quarter. There were so many opportunities yesterday for the Titans to put that game away, or at least grab complete control of the game, and they just let the Bengals hang around. A couple of mistakes, and it wasn't a game plan thing. It wasn't play calling. It was just a lack of execution at brief moments. Let the Bengals hang around and then eventually take the lead on that 70-yard touchdown pass to A.J. Green. But what you keep coming back to with this Titans team is when all the chips get pushed at the middle of the table and you have to come down to making a play to win the game, this team believes it's going to. And you haven't been able to say that about a Titans team for a long, long time. Maybe last year, towards the end of the season, when they'd won some of these big games, they'd beaten a Green Bay. They'd won some games in the division. And you got into December. Maybe that team last year started to have some of that belief in the way they beat Denver and the way they went to Kansas City and won on the final play of the game. But really, since 2008, this has been a franchise that has been marked by teams that even when they could be close in games, and they were there, when everything was on the line in the fourth quarter and it came down to having a drive for a game, it was always the other team that had the quarterback that you felt like you could count on. And you didn't know what you had with the Titans when they needed the drive. Well, yesterday, Marcus Mariota leads the Titans on that 12-play, 73-yard drive. That is the 7th go-ahead or game-winning touchdown drive for Marcus Mariota in either the fourth quarter or overtime already in just 2.5 years in the National Football League. He's proven that he can get it done, and that doesn't even count 2 weeks ago against Baltimore, when it wasn't a go-ahead drive or a game-winning drive, but it was Baltimore back within 3. All of a sudden, this is a football game again. Well, you need your offense to respond. And what did Marcus Mariota do? He drove the Titans 75 yards for a touchdown that essentially put the game away. He showed that he has a clutch gene to his game. And that is absolutely huge in your franchise quarterback. And you can tell in that locker room, those guys believe in him and know when he's going to take the field that they've got a shot to get it done. Yesterday, when he walked out there into that huddle, at that point of the game, when they were down, he looked every guy in the eye and said, okay, let's go get a touchdown and win this game right here. This isn't about driving down the field for a tying field goal. Let's go win this sucker right here. And you could tell just after the game, every guy in that huddle and the guys on the sideline believe Marcus Mariota when he's going to say that and believe that they can go get it done. Our phone lines are open tonight, 737-7767. Your perception of what happened yesterday at Nissan Stadium. How the Titans were able to pull that one out. Once again, figuring out a way. Scrapping and clawing. It's not always pretty, but now they've gotten it done 4 straight weeks. 4 consecutive wins for the first time since 2009 in first place. So your thoughts on the Titans in that win yesterday, where they stand from here, or concerns about the short turnaround and going to Pittsburgh? We welcome your thoughts on the program here tonight. 737-7767 is the number. We'll also hear from Jonathan Hutton, our analyst on the sideline, a very active participant yesterday on the sideline at Nissan Stadium. If you were watching closely, you saw towards the end of the first half, he got trucked by Delaney Walker on an out route, where he was shielded right in front of him. Mike Mularkey actually was the guy who got out of the way, and all of a sudden here's Walker barreling down on Jonathan Hutton, and he took a big-time hit on the sideline. He popped right back up, though, with a smile, went back to work, and helped the team, or at least the radio broadcast, cover the team getting a big win yesterday. We'll hear from him, his thoughts on the game. We'll even make fun of a little bit of his incident on the sideline as well, coming up on the program tonight. But again, we want to hear from you tonight. Our phone lines are open, and we begin with Brian. Brian, you are first up here on Titans Talk.
All right. First up, Hey, I think at the beginning of the year I predicted them 10-6. Most people were predicting 9-7. I tell you what, though, they're making a lot of people nervous every game. I mean, everybody's like, "What's going on?" Also, the fans don't seem like they're as loud as they could be. You know, they did get going in the fourth quarter, but all these games, they're winning them. So it's just so goofy the way they're winning them. But I think they should use the Derek guy more. I really like the way Delaney Walker, I think the tight end play. You know, I was always concerned about the tight end and stuff. And then, you know, I gotta have to say that I'm not proven wrong about Mariota, but I just have concerns about his legs and stuff in the long term, because I'm old enough, 52 now, that, you know, that'd be great if he, you know, did great this year and got maybe deep in the playoffs or maybe to the Super Bowl. I just wonder what his longevity over the years, many years would be. I don't know. Quarterbacks tend to be one of the longer playing players, but we'll see. I think let's focus on this year, and let's focus on going to the Super Bowl. Maybe let's focus on going past the second round. Maybe, you know, at least getting to the AFC Championship game. And I don't think that's undoable, because the teams are supposed to be that really great this year. They're not that great. Who would have predicted the Philadelphia Eagles to be the #1 team in football? I don't think anybody would have.
Yeah, they look pretty darn good, though, right now when you talk about teams that are pretty great or not pretty great. There's actually a bunch of teams right now. They're 7-2. You got the Eagles at 8-1. So there are some teams who've been pretty impressive out there, but I'm with you. This is a year where there's parity in the National Football League, and if the Titans can put themselves in position to have a first-round home game or potentially get a bye in the AFC, as we talked about how important Thursday night's game in Pittsburgh is, that's huge for them. Because remember, this team hasn't been to the playoffs for basically a decade. So if you can get there and you can make a little bit of noise, what a great step for this team this year. And that was the big thing from a year ago. It was such a monumental leap from 3 wins to 9 wins last year. I know people were disappointed about not getting to the playoffs then, but to be able to take that next step and not just get into the playoffs, but maybe set yourself up to win a game or two, that would be a huge leap this year for this team. And I don't think it's completely unreasonable. But again, if you talk to the players right now, they are completely focused on this week and Thursday night in Pittsburgh. That is a huge game that means a lot towards the stretch run of the season. They've got to have all their focus on that right now.
Yeah, I still think, I know everybody says don't look forward, don't look forward. I want a bunch of strength. I say look forward. I say your goal to be the AFC champ, get to the AFC Championship game. Kick all those other teams' butts. Who's the best 2 teams in AFC right now? If we had to go down the line to beat, who are the best guys?
Well, the top seeds right now, if the playoffs started today, would be New England #1 and Pittsburgh #2.
Oh, jeez, New England. I forgot about New England. Oh, God. So you'd have to beat New England to get to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
But if we could get into AFC, with the way the pairings goes, could we play at New England in the AFC Championship game?
Yeah,
beat Pittsburgh?
That would be the path. As long as they're the #1 seed, anybody would have to go through New England would have to do it in Foxborough.
Oh, well, yeah. But to get to the AFC Championship game, we wouldn't be playing against them to get to it. The way the divisions are set up, we would have to go through a couple of other teams. And then Pittsburgh, they would be down the line too, or would they be earlier in the playoffs?
It totally depends where you end up. I mean, if those are your top 2 seeds, the Titans wouldn't play either one of them in the first game, but you'd be playing in Wild Card Weekend, and then you'd play one or the other of them in the divisional weekend. So
the second round.
So it just totally depends on where you end up, and it's way too early to even speculate on that. You're allowed to do it because you're a fan and
Right.
You're not playing, and we can do it on the show because we're not playing either, but that's a long way off for sure.
Well, do they ever listen to the show? Because I want to tell them, hey, go, go, go. Do they ever listen to the show, the players?
I'm not sure. They certainly listen to some things, read some things. I think it's only human nature to follow up on that. So if any of them are listening tonight, you just did.
Yeah, all right, cool.
All right, thanks, Brian. Appreciate the call. Phone lines are open, 737-7767. He mentioned something in there about the fans not being super loud, or maybe as loud as you would be used to. I actually think the atmosphere is, by and large, at Nissan Stadium this year have been good. There were a lot of Bengals fans yesterday. There were also a lot of empty seats yesterday, which has been surprising because the crowd's been really good. I put that all, frankly, on the weather. I mean, it was misty. It even rained yesterday morning for a big chunk of the time. It was cooler for the first time this year. We've had glorious weather early on, and for the first several games of the season, the atmosphere was much better than we've seen really at any point in recent years around this team. They've gotten fired up when teams have taken the field with their offense. Titans defense on the field on third downs. They've been ready to go. They've exploded for touchdowns in crucial moments. And I think the crowd that was there yesterday did do that. But my question to you, if you're out there tonight, if you're a Titans fan, what is your perception of the buzz around this team right now? Because I think while things have picked up from recent years when they were so down about this team, I still don't get the sense that there's the same level of buzz that maybe you would expect for a team that's 6-3 and tied for first place and knocking on the door of their first playoff appearance since 2008. Do you get the same impression, and why do you think that is? Was yesterday all about the weather, or is there something else out there? We've talked a lot on this show about the national anthem and the protest early on in the season. I certainly think it's had an effect on a few people that have just stopped watching the NFL altogether. I've heard from some of those people. But I guess in my head, it seems like that's a minority of fans at this point. Yeah, maybe the NFL lost a few fans, but not everybody, did it? So if that's you, if you're sitting at home tonight and saying, I haven't watched since that happened or since other things in the NFL happened, certainly give us a call and tell us that story. Why do you think fans aren't watching in the same numbers? Yesterday's game went right down to the finish. 17.1 rating in the city of Nashville and in this television market. That's not bad. It's the highest rated TV show of last week in the market, just shy of the CMA Awards, highest rated sports program of the week. Certainly not bad, but off of the pace where we've certainly seen Titans games in the past, and certainly where we saw Preds games late in the playoffs last year when things got going and the city just felt a buzz with everything that was going on. So why is that? Love to hear from you tonight. Also, just your general thoughts on the Titans win over the Bengals yesterday. 737-7767. The number, our lines are open, and we'll get to more of your calls coming up right after this. You're watching Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.